Hi, Brenda. I enjoyed your video. I have to say, I just got hung up in some of the details because I was so interested in your personal story. Not that I didn't enjoy the story about the misnomer of the killer whale, but your early life of living in the Pacific Northwest and living in Reno, Nevada. And yes, that is absolutely my thought of all cities in Nevada that are they're gambling, tumbleweed towns. Even though I've been to Las Vegas, I know it's no longer tumbleweed, but that's still, that sort of impression of Nevada. But anyway, I do know that there are municipalities that do have libraries, but you were right to suggest that that's all we think about when we think about Nevada cities. And that you were in LA. I have a daughter who's in Southern California also, so I think that's interesting too. I have had an interest in killer whales. I used to take our kids at church to SeaWorld year after year after year. It was an overnight trip. You could spend the night at SeaWorld and sleep with the animals. And we slept with the killer whales several times, and the orcas, and they make noises during the night and so forth. And we loved that experience. And of course, recently that's all been sort of shut down because of the death of the trainer in, I think it was in San Diego actually. And so anyway, but I think it's interesting that you had that perspective as well. I had one question is it a misnomer? What happened? Did you decide that it was named incorrectly? Why was it called the killer whale? And that would be something that I want to know. What did you find out? So anyway, I also think that I agree with you. One of your comments at the end was that it seems like a lot of times at the end of these particular courses that we are in, that we do a final project, like we're going to do our digital storytelling project, and then we don't ever even get to see another student's project, and we don't get to comment on it. And I think you're right about the fact that they can be such learning experiences, like your project. So going to a symposium and being there for a day, you get to look at it for that day, and then you go home and you might think, oh, I wish I would have spent more time looking at this. Whereas if you have an online project, you can look at it time and time again. And so I think that is a real positive. And I think that one of the things, even though it's crunching me up because of my travel plans, I think that it's really positive that we're turning in our digital stories on that Thursday of our last week, because then we're going to be able to see each other's stories and look at them and enjoy them and comment on them. And I think that that will be a real plus, honestly. And I've missed that in some of my other classes, and particularly on a lot of assignments that we do that are creative assignments that are strictly a submission assignment that you turn into the instructor. And not that you don't want the instructor's feedback, of course you do, but sometimes it might be nice to see what other people, how they approach that particular subject. So I do think that that's something to be considered in all online teaching, is maybe the timing of the submission and the way that it's submitted, so that there can be some learning that comes out of that. So that was a really good point in your video, I thought, and one that shouldn't be overlooked, that in order to get the most out of some of the assignments that we as teachers give our students, if we make them more public and if we also give them an opportunity for feedback, then that gives that extra layer of learning, I think, and also that student feedback that we learned in our last course, that is important. So those are things that I think that are good. I think it's neat that your teacher inspired you to have a love of learning at such an early age. And I think that that would also be a goal that we would want to have as teachers. And so it would be important to try and maybe do that. And so I'm not sure what I would do. I read a little bit of your response to Kathy. I didn't watch her video, but I think, maybe a springboard is something that they call it in education, where you give them a topic early and they do a little research on it. Something that sort of sparks their enthusiasm to research would certainly be a way to do some sort of research on a topic that they are interested in. And now there are so many memes out there and so many things that might Even, I noticed in one of our courses we did, like on the psychology of humor, there were those cartoons, the New Yorker cartoons. There's a lot in those that can really spark some controversial thoughts and issues that might cause you to research a topic, but the cartoon itself might make you laugh. And so that might say, oh, but wait, what does that really mean? So I don't know. That's just kind of a silly idea, I guess, but just something. The idea is always we want to spark some enthusiasm and ways that our students want to learn more and find out more knowledge. So anyway, good video. I enjoyed it. And I can't wait to meet you face to face because I have a feeling you've got lots of good stories to tell.